Oh, I think we lost somebody.
Oh my.
Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
He's actually here. What happened? Did I click something?
No, like something just while it was playing, I got a message on my screen that says that the browser wouldn't play the video clip, like in the middle of this.
Weird.
Did this whole thing. It made a sound. It was scary. I'm glad it's over.
It is over, and we're here. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're ready to run up that hill with us. I was trying to think of.
You gave up on it halfway in.
I
You're
did.
like, oh,
I was like, I don't know. That worked better in text than it does.
It only saves Max. It didn't save you.
Oh no, it didn't. I died on that hill. Anyway, Master of Puppets. Okay. I wonder. Do you think there's like how many I don't know, older bands from the 80s are like hounding Netflix now? Like, hey, you need some music for next season?
Yeah.
Because that's like skyrocketing 37, 38-year-old songs to #1 on iTunes, that show.
Man.
Yeah.
Because both what's her name? Something Bush?
Kate Bush, yep.
Kate Bush, that song, #1 on iTunes. And Master of Puppets got it's like way up there now too.
What about the Journey song that's in the credits? Or not the credits, but like the final like montage end scenes thing.
Oh, right. Nobody cares about Journey. No, I don't know. I just wanted to be rude about Journey for, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. You know, I attribute that obviously to, like, especially because like Master of Puppets, that's been around. That's in lots of stuff. Wasn't it, I mean, Zombieland at this point is kind of old, but Zombieland, like, it had the slow motion intro set to that song. Stuff like that, like, that's been in the zeitgeist. It's Metallica. But something like the Kate Bush track, I think it's interesting, and it's got to be 100% just the show exposing young people, to songs they'd never heard before, because that song, that's a known song and was big back in the day, and I'm sure still got like classic radio play, but it's not, it wasn't necessarily in the zeitgeist.
Right. It's not like one of those songs that, like, when you think of the 80s and you think of that year in particular, you're like, that's the song I remember. Like, no, that's not on anybody's list.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting.
It's weird. It's weird that so many people are influenced by a TV show.
Right.
It's like Game of Thrones all over again.
Right.
Wait, what happened with
Walking Dead season 2.
Oh, it being like so ridiculously popular that it's like it comes out and it's just like everywhere. It is pop culture, like to the extreme.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I'm glad. At least in my opinion, because there's people have had conflict. Not overall, general audiences love Stranger Things, but I've always heard conflicting, opinions on each season. But I'm glad that the show became as popular as it did, and in my opinion, it still maintained quality. Like,
I think this season's way better than last season, and
that's an opinion I've been hearing
2.
a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best season since season 1 for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people, are really all about it. I think there's... Okay, so by the way, tonight, we're going to be talking about Stranger Things and The Boys, which 7 of the 8 episodes for this season are out. The 8th drops season finales tomorrow, but we're going to talk about the show now.
So audio listeners in the future, we know we haven't seen it yet.
Right. Audio listeners, 2 months from now. We're gonna be like, this is all so outdated anyway.
We're like, wait, they're just not going to talk about it? They're just not going to talk about it?
It's
we haven't seen it.
We're probably going to talk about The Boys, and then come like next week, we'll forget it. We'll just totally forget it even happened.
Right. And we haven't read the comics, not that they're holding completely true to the comics, but like, so if there's like a big like twist, it won't even be on our radar because we won't even know that there is a twist.
Right. Yeah, we were talking off mic just now a little bit about Umbrella Academy, which Jesse, you haven't seen any of the new season, so we're not really gonna. We might touch on that this episode a little bit, but after this latest season, Melanie and I watched a couple because the end's like there's some questions. I had lots of questions, so we watched one of those YouTube videos that's made to really capitalize on that, and it had a bunch of information from the comics, and I'm like, this kind of feels like I shouldn't watch it. Like it's a spoiler because it's stuff from comics, and I know it's already out there in comics, and they're probably there's changes, but they're probably obviously going to pull this from the comics, or that's what's going on, or there's backstory that they haven't, or at least that I don't remember them expanding on. That's known because of the comics, but I haven't read them, so I'm like, is it going to ruin the show a little bit for me if I know this stuff because of the comics? I don't know.
Well, I'm usually forgetful about everything, but there's stuff that I remember, and I mentioned to you, and you didn't remember it, so I
Yeah,
think
like,
there was already some lore that they shared with us that you just forgot.
there
But
was, because that
yeah.
YouTube video showed scenes apparently from season 1. I'm like, I don't remember any of that.
Yep.
Anyway, I think we went on a little late, a little too late. Nobody's around.
Oh no, we don't even have Savannah.
Well, Savannah's not here, but we're gonna give a shout out to Savannah because she supports us on Patreon. She is a cat dancer. She gets all the pineapple cat pizza and more. She gets all
Pineapple
the pizza
cats.
You know what? I wonder if I just spoke of the devil. We'll see. But if you too want to be a cool cat dancer like Savannah, or even just get a slice of that pizza, go to patreon.com/Grawlix podcast to support us. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
What do we want to talk about first, since we're just kind of leaping into it? I guess, is there anything else real quick you guys want to mention? Any other shows or anything you watched that we don't have to dive too far into?
It's basically been those, and then the Star Trek stuff. So like Star Trek Strange New Worlds is still great. I mean, it's kind of like the original series in that, like, me saying anything about Strange New Worlds isn't really going to help anyone because every episode is kind of its own thing.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like, yeah, it just still feels like a throwback, and it's cool. So if you liked the regional series, like, go watch it because you'll like this.
Cool.
Sorry.
Go
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No. I have one.
He refuses.
I was gonna say I didn't see anything besides what we're gonna talk about, but I'm jealous right now because I know of several people that are watching the new Thor movie tonight.
I know, I'm seeing that too.
Right now, as we speak, they're watching
know.
Thor.
Yeah.
They are.
And I'm already hearing good reviews.
Are you? Okay. The first thing I saw did not seem positive, and I generally don't take that to heart unless, like, there's a weird overwhelming, like, this thing sucks, then maybe I'll kind of, like, keep that in mind. But I had that first twinge of, like, could this be it? Eventually there's gonna be a pebble on Watiti's railroads that's gonna start derailing things. Nah.
See, the only negative I've heard, to me, is not a negative. Like, I've basically heard that the first act kind of drags on. And it's
Okay.
like, you mean they build characters? Because I'm all in for that. Because
Right,
usually that's
right.
what they mean. They're like, it went a little too long, and it was a little too funny, and it leaned into the comedy. Like, Taika Waititi's comedy is on point.
Right,
and
right.
So is his character building, and I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get into Our Flag Means Death?
I watched the first episode, and I think I
Okay. I was
started
just-
the second episode, and then, like, my access to HBO
Right, okay.
waned, and then I just never jumped back in once I restored my access.
Okay, I was just curious because that show is still such a surprise to me. I feel like it starts off a little iffy and then gets better, and then by the end I'm like, oh, I didn't expect this would be what that show was going to be. But I still enjoyed it, and I'm excited for future seasons. Um, we watched first 2 episodes of the new season of Westworld. As there's really not much to say yet, especially since it's new. So, I mean, there's a couple things. Like, there's one thing I'd like to say that I'm kind of excited for. That I'm like, okay, I like this. This is an interesting direction to go with it, or a good idea. But it feels a little bit like spoiler the way it's presented in the episode. So I just won't mention it. Other than that, it's just kind of like there's a big time jump between seasons. So it's a lot of like establishing where certain characters are, setting up, I guess, some new mysteries, and then kind of establishing, like, I guess, the big bad's type plot, the big bad's plot type thing. It's establishing a bunch of stuff, so there's really not a lot to dive into yet.
Yeah. But really, I mean, yeah, it's like, here's some people that are here and here, and then they come together, some people, and then they're like, oh, where have you been? I'm like, did you guys even know each other? I don't even know what's going on. Kind of a little bit, I feel.
Right. Well, yeah, I feel like we could say that, and maybe it's just I don't remember much of the third season, but I feel like there's stuff that's like stuff happened in between seasons that you don't know about, but now these characters know each other. I'm like,
maybe we'll get flashbacks later.
Probably.
It seems like a time-honored tradition
Right.
for Westworld, so
Yeah.
I'd be kind of surprised if we don't get at least one flashback episode.
Right. It's definitely doing. There's some fan service going on too, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it can be if it shows, if that's all it is, but it's Westworld. They've always got weird, lofty ideas going on. So
We did watch one of the scenes after the movies, or not, after the show, where they talk about making it, and I did enjoy them talking a little bit, the actors, about how they don't even know what's gonna happen from episode to episode a lot of times, and I'm like, that's fun. I would think. I mean, it might be scary, but I think it'd be more fun than knowing your whole character's plot for the whole show.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting because you'd think it could. I don't know. I think on certain shows, like I've always heard a actor, you hear stories about the actors of like something like Game of Thrones, at least in the earlier seasons, where it was really seemed like anyone could get killed at any time, where they didn't know from episode to episode if their character was going to survive the episode, and that kind of sucks because that's your job because it's like, oh, well, I guess I don't have work after this one.
Like, I guess that's why they gave me such a good deal on my contract for the first season.
Right.
Like Sean Bean, he's like, man, they paid me. Oh, it was the first episode.
Maybe it was Game of right. I mean, that seems like par for the course for that guy. Isn't that the gag? You get killed in everything he's in. I can't remember if it was that show, but I do remember there's hearing about. I feel like it was Game of Thrones, where they give some actors fake scripts, killing their characters off when their characters
so that
actually
they couldn't leak anything. I've heard of that too.
Yeah.
Fake scripts, just so that if there were leakers, they would first of all know who it was, and second of all, they wouldn't actually leak anything that was real.
Right. But that's got to be kind of an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
For an actor. I mean, there are jobs like that, right? I mean, I guess in a way freelancing is like that, but just the idea of like, well, when I go into work tomorrow, maybe I don't have a job every day.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm sure there's some type of stability built into like, the contract system for actors and stuff, but yes, I don't know. It's interesting.
They should just do like some horror movies do and have everybody die. Like have a script where every character gets to die, and then you just pick and choose which ones you actually kill off, as you go along.
I think they kind of do that sometimes. I think they'll film at least big ones where leaks are a big issue. I know some movies and TV shows will go as far as like filming alternate, like finishing alternate versions and endings, so that whichever one they decide upon doesn't ultimately get leaked.
Game of Thrones should have tried to do that. and then like
Filmed an alternate ending and then just went with it.
Yep.
Oh man.
So should Chibnall. He should have
Oh.
just done alternate episodes. Whole episodes that were totally different.
Alternate showrunner.
Oh, hey-oh.
She's got a new series, just in case, on the back burner.
Speaking of, this kind of derails things a smidge, but like, did you see the Doctor Who stuff where like, I posted it in the Facebook group. So if you're not a part of the Grawlix podcast Facebook group, it's what, facebook.com/groups/Grawlix podcast, I think.
I think
And,
so.
I posted it, and it was Russell T Davies was like, "Man, I really feel like I've been overshadowing this." So he
It's so
posts this
true.
thing, and I was just like, I don't think you're overshadowing the utter lack of any news whatsoever about the last episode of the 13th Doctor."
Right. No, I did read that the article you posted, and I've heard him say, I've heard him personally. No, I've read him saying similar things before, like he doesn't want to overshadow blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, but dude, you're doing so much better at hyping your upcoming season of Doctor Who than the BBC is at the current thing they have going on.
And he's doing a better job of hyping her stuff too. Like,
Yeah.
just the fact that he feels bad about it is actually hyping it better than the BBC is doing for her. Like,
Yeah,
come on, guys, don't give up now. I mean, you can still make some money.
There's like,
But
one,
that's-
you got one episode left. Just I know you want to feel like, I know you want to sweep it under the rug, but man,
But that's
Capitalize
exactly
on
it.
it while you
I
can.
think everybody gave up. It seems like.
Yeah.
I mean they're not wrong to. But
Right. But if you want to read some actually good 13 Doctor stories, there's a Humble Bundle.
this is Pimpcast.
Pipcast, yeah. There's a Humble Bundle. You can go to Humble Bundle. Well, you can go to humblebundle.com, but you should go to grawlixpodcast.com/humble.
Humble. Yeah, that's our affiliate link. We're a partner. But yeah,
But
no,
we're humble about it. We're a humble
I-
partner.
I actually thought to check Humble Bundle today because they sent me an email just with, I don't know. They're always pushing the games, right? Like they're all about, that must be where most of their money comes from, right? They have, because you can just buy games on Humble like it's Steam now.
Right. And they're basically Steam codes.
They are. But they still, of course, do the bundles. So I constantly get emails about the games, but then I'll hop over just to check the bundles. And yeah, I was like, oh, Doctor Who Comics bundle, cool. And I was looking through it, and I was like, that's like a huge chunk of Titan Comics library so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've read a couple here and there, but man, there's huge gaps. Like, I haven't read most of it. And then I think the archive stuff is like pre-Titan. I think some of
Yeah.
that is pre-Titan comic stuff.
And there's some good stuff in there too.
There's there's a ton if you want to like get the whole bundle. Yeah. So I'm actually definitely gonna pick that up because I've been jonesing for some good Doctor Who, or just some Doctor Who.
Whatever it is
Whatever.
good. So there you go.
Right.
Or
Right.
it's just some Doctor Who.
Or just some
Nice.
Doctor Who. BBC is not super keen on giving us a whole lot, so
No.
Yeah.
take it where I can get it. Plus, yeah, I do want to read some of the 13th Doctor stuff in the comics. I haven't read any of that.
They've even got a 10 and 13 cross. They've got a multi-Doctor crossover storyline in there that I was like, oh, this wasn't even on my radar. That'd be great.
And there's a Capaldi Doctor, man.
Yeah.
We just want Doctor Who, man.
We really do.
We do. I should listen to more audio drama. I just don't listen to audio. I listen to audio all the time. I don't want it.
Yeah. The Eighth Doctor's always doing cool stuff. I mean, and I need to get back on the Ninth Doctor series stuff because I've got several of them that I just haven't like queued up. But there's so much. That's the problem. There's so much.
And you know what? Maybe this probably would not be a better business model for them, given the prices they charge for some of the stories, which is fair. That takes a lot of work, and you know, whatever. You got to pay. They get the actual doctors. You got to pay the doctors. But and if they have something like this, I'll feel dumb. But man, they really need like a streaming service subscription thing.
Oh, that would be. Ooh. But they'd leave so much money on the table.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because then because they have such a big catalog, there's plenty there for something like that.
Right.
Or they could charge 20, 60, whatever it is for a almost per story, right?
I may be wrong about this, but I feel like it's not like everything, but a lot of the older Big Finish Doctor Who stories are like piecemealed out to different services. Like
I know
Scribd,
Spotify has.
Audible might have a few.
Okay.
Like Amazon Music might have some. Spotify might have some. Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Yeah, I've listened to some on Spotify.
I'm slow, so I don't jump in enough, so I'm jumping back a little bit. They should have done with the doctors like they do with hotels sometimes, and just skipped the 13th and gone to like the 14th, and maybe it would have been better luck, and it would have worked out better.
And if Jodie was just 14, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
or?
yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe
that was it. She just got the bad draw. Man, and now, oh no! Like the more I think about it, the worse this gets. It's like, oh, the 13th Doctor was unlucky, and now we're not going to do that again.
Right.
That's always kind of the worry, right? Like, the worry is that she would become Doctor, Chibnall will take over. I had high expectations for Chibnall's run, but the worry is that it would suck for some reason, and people would blame it on it being a female doctor. BBC would get scared, be like, no more female doctors. But luckily, when I do see criticisms, they're almost all levied at, well, either it just being SJW propaganda, or the more rational is levied at the writing in Chibnall, and not her. There's almost always the disclaimer of like, Jodie Whittaker's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's great in general, but her doctor's not great. But it has nothing to do with.
I still blame direction and whatnot. Like
Yeah.
I think she's trying. I think.
Oh yeah,
I see
yeah.
her honing, like using her craft, but there isn't somebody pushing her in any certain direction. So she's left to just, I don't know, make it up on the spot.
I could be wrong, but I feel like there's an undercurrent of frustration, sometimes. But I don't know. Yeah. And then the other thing. Oops, sorry.
Oh, I should say that could be a projection, but yes.
Yeah. And the other thing that I was gonna go back to was just a joke that I missed, but I'm gonna make it now because I already brought it up. You had said something about gotta pay the doctors, and I'm like, yeah, dude, we're Americans. We know how it is. That's what we do.
Oh, except we don't pay the doctors; we pay the insurance companies.
That's true.
And they do their best to not pay the doctors.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, man. Next time we're like, what are we going to talk about? Somebody just
Humble Bundle.
Just write. Just write. It is Humble Bundle's fault. Just write Doctor Who, and that's the whole show. It'll derail everything, and that's what we'll do.
Yep.
There could be like 5 years of no new Doctor Who anything, and we could endlessly talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's 50 years of Doctor Who or more to talk about.
Yeah,
We're
it's like
really
60.
not even scratching the surface on the news, I mean, like it's just like because they're filming it right now, so there's like little nuggets just popping up all over the place.
So is it still like, so the big 60th special? That's going to be a Tennant Doctor, and then are they going to
That's
like
what they're saying?
wait till the next proper TV season to do, or series? Sorry, Brits, to do the 14th. That's so weird. That's such a weird decision.
I mean, like, and initially I hated it, and I still kind of hate it on principle, but also it's compelling, and I need to see it.
I don't hate it. I mean, it's weird. It's a weird decision. And
I hate that it's true because like people have been speculating it for years, and then it's just like the easiest thing to do is just like, let's just give them what they want.
That's the thing that does bug me. It's like it's a cheesy thing to do. It's a cheesy thing. It's like, okay, RTD's coming back, and some people had beef about that, but I'm like, I don't care. He was great. His run was amazing. Not perfect, but amazing.
No, yeah.
but then to like also bring back Tennant for this thing, it's like, oh, okay, they're just going full on like, I don't know, hard course correct to like, when was the good years? Like,
Remember when we loved this show?
right. But you know what? Maybe they listen to us. They're like, we know.
Maybe. Except we loved Capaldi too.
I know.
I don't know. We had beefs with Moffat, but like, I think that's the thing that we really learned with Chibnall is that showrunner does not have to be perfect. They just have to be consistently good. Like generally good. They don't even have to be consistently good, just generally good. When we look back at their whole run, we can go, oh man, that was really good. Oh, but remember the Dobby Doctor? Oh no, let's not talk about that. But remember when the Master was a
Dobby Doctor's terrible.
remember when the Master was a goo skeleton? Oh, let's not talk about that.
Here's
He was everybody. He was everyone.
Here's a concern you've just raised in my mind about the 60th. Is RTD was at his worst when he's trying to do the big explosive season finales.
Yeah.
And now he's doing the 60th anniversary
I
special.
know.
We might start with a
We'd be
dud
like,
of a
we are
RTD.
going to rue every single time we criticized Moffat because that's when Moffat was at his best, when he absolutely had the most pressure to actually stick the landing.
Right. Yeah.
Because then he would actually, I feel like he'd pull people in and have them like edit him. And
I
then it's like,
wonder.
oh, solid.
I wonder if we went back to sometime. I kind of want to revisit any of the episodes we talked about pre-Chibnall, like during the heart of like Moffat era, because I just remembered we'd rip on Moffat constantly.
We were
But
so ready for him to go. We were so ready.
it's kind of interesting, like, you know, the rewatch I did not long ago, or at this point it's probably a while ago, how I kind of feel like Moffat's run elevated RTD's run and Chibnall's run elevated Moffat's run to where it's like, I mean, it's Moffat's run is not as good as RTD's, but man, this is still great compared to what we have now.
Yeah.
That's a little worrisome. Maybe the BBC recognized that too. I don't know.
And John Nathan Turner, nah.
Right.
He's still got what, 5, 6, and 7.
Oh man. Yeah,
His
I'm
big-
not super. I kind of want to like. I need to research. I'm just not good at retaining some information like that. Research the showrunners from the classic series, because I'll watch videos where people talk about the different eras,
Right.
and I'm not as well versed on that.
Really, that's the only one I know because he was so ready to do such weird stuff. Like the first weird thing he did was get rid of the sonic screwdriver entirely. And like on one hand, it's like I hate that, but also like he wasn't wrong. Like anytime you needed a quick fix, oh, let's just sonic screwdriver. It's fine.
Yeah, coming into something like Doctor Who with the intention of making big changes, which Chibnall definitely did. Man, it's such a risky move because it could work to the benefit. Because in the modern Who, the sonic screwdriver is a horrible crutch, but then you end up with Space Jesus. So
When the other thing that John Nathan Turner was rumored to be floating was getting rid of the TARDIS.
What?
It's like, that's the only other thing you need. You need the
Yeah.
Doctor and you need the TARDIS.
Honestly, I love the Doctor, but you don't even need the Doctor. You just need the TARDIS. That's the thing that travels through time and space. You know?
That's true.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean the Doctor could literally just change. It's
Right.
going to
Yeah,
be a completely different
yeah.
person and personality, but you need to have that familiar thing to
Or
like.
be from another universe, apparently. Who knows?
I was reading because we're starting to get far enough away from that big thing that I think a lot of people have kind of come around, or there's just enough contrarians. But I was reading like in support of or in defense of type post about that decision, the Timeless Child thing, and people are like, but it adds more mystery because now it's like we don't need more mystery. Yeah, it's cool when the Doctor had mystery. You didn't know much about Gallifrey way back in the day, but then like, okay, so they maybe over explored that, but there was still that. I feel like the way Chibnall tried to add a bunch of mystery, now you know nothing about the Doctor. Gallifrey's irrelevant. I feel like that's way weaker than just not knowing about pre-Hartnell period of his life much, you know, or their life, I should say. That's enough mystery for me. It's fine. Why did he leave? We don't. I mean, you know, they kind of like say.
If you want to pull obscure, weird stuff from the classic series, why not pull the stuff that, again, John Nathan Turner, that what he was building with the Seventh Doctor and implying that he was part of creating the Time Lords with the Loom and Omega and all of that. Like, if you've got to make things weird, that was some of the weirdest.
And I don't hate that idea as much if it were like, if Chibnall had turned it into, it was like a time loop scenario where it became the ridiculous paradoxical chicken and egg where the Doctor ended up creating the Time Lords like they do, but like it was a later Doctor or something, as opposed to it's just the Doctors from somewhere else. And I don't know. I don't even mind the like pre-Hartnell. There were a bunch of Doctors. Cool, fine, okay,
Right, yeah.
But like they had to throw it into like the immortality and the regeneration started with this Doctor.
Yeah.
Their space Jesus. Gallifrey.
They already made it weird with the way that the 11th Doctor got his regenerations extended or restored to potential infinity. We don't even know how many regenerations he would have had. But now we're like, oh, you know what? The power was inside of you all along.
You're right. You're right. Maybe it was just a hand wavy way. He's just like, BBC's really on me to figure out how to like get rid of this idea of limited regenerations. And that's what he come up with? I don't know.
That was a weird choice for them to make. Like, let's say there can only be this many. We want the show to end, you know?
Right, yeah.
A silly thing to do.
It is, but I feel like, especially when did they establish that?
I don't remember, but I remember them like bringing it up, I think, with the Master, because the Master, that was his thing, was that he had burned through all of his regenerations already and now was stealing them. Like he was forcing his extended life.
Mm-hmm. Well, they could have done something better than limiting every other freaking Time Lord and just made him, what is it, like a Voldemort or something, you know, like he has to live on the back of somebody's head until he's well enough to go off on his own or something.
Right. Or he just has to become everyone.
He's going to be a snake for a while.
Yeah, turn him into a goose snake.
He's going to have cat eyes and then be a goose snake Eric Roberts.
Yes.
Man, if people don't know, if somebody's watching this don't know Doctor Who.
And even he gets a big Finish series. I haven't started them, but there's 2 of them already.
I love that. That's so good.
Yep.
Just that it exists.
And I think it's called Call Me Master.
That's good.
I think that was his line. Like he butchered it. Like, I don't know. Call Me Master.
I think limiting the regenerations is smart in a sense. When they did it, that probably seemed like a far enough away number that they're like, well, it's not anything we'll have to worry about. But it does add some stakes, because if you have a character that's essentially just immortal, I mean, that's kind of, I guess, why the companions are there. Those are the like more like actual human lives stakes, you know, the immediate like relatable characters that you have to worry about. But like, there's not a lot of stakes if the character essentially just can't die.
But I think it would be better, though, instead of being like, this is a limit number thing, be like, there are certain conditions that if you're in these conditions, it won't work, or it won't work as well, or
if there's a rock from your
else.
home planet, then you'll be weakened and you can die.
You know, I was just thinking like Superman, because like they have all of this lore that they could really explore. Like they've even hinted at things like, what was it? Was it, I think it was 12, where they were like talking about the time when he was sleeping in that one part of the
barn or something.
Yeah, the barn. He was like, there's huge swaths of the Doctor's history that we could still explore. and yet they had to make up some new stuff. We don't
Yeah.
know anything about Gallifrey beyond who's the president, you know?
Right. Anytime they've gone to Gallifrey, it's for the most part just been stuck in like, they're like their version of the capital or whatever. Like there's just
Yeah.
political stuff, but like actually how the society operates. Yeah,
No
you're right.
idea. They've never touched it, except for watching children run away from Daleks.
Yeah. Yep.
You think they can regenerate into kids if they wanted to? That'd be interesting.
When then they real cagey about that. Like, who gets regenerations? Do average Gallifreyans get them, or is that a Time Lord thing?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, there's all sorts of questions, you know?
Yeah. They're dumb. They keep messing it up.
Speaking of dumb, we were trying to move on from this topic
Oh, yeah.
15 minutes ago.
So how about them Stranger Things and Boys?
Hey,
the things I put in the
Stranger
title.
Things are, you know, no time travel.
For future reference, regardless what I put in the title of these live streams, just know there's a 40 to 60% chance we're just going to talk about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just assume
And we
that's
could have
always
just
in the
kept we
title.
could just keep going, but
We could
it's not
easily-
even what we said we were going to talk about.
No. Let's talk a little bit about Stranger Things since that series is actually done now. Well,
Yeah.
this season.
Season. Yeah.
I keep hearing there's just one more.
One
season
more
left?
because of how old they are.
Right.
I'm sure.
Well, there is going to be some type of spinoff. That's some news. The Duffer Brothers created, like they announced they've formed like the Upside Down Pictures or whatever. Basically, their own little production thing, and there's going to be a Stranger Things spinoff, an adaptation of Stephen King. What is it?
Please tell me they're going to do the Dusty Buns and Susie show.
What? oh. No,
No, he really does have a girlfriend from Canada or wherever she's from.
I think Utah.
Utah, yeah.
I want to just because people know Stephen King stuff, and
I actually think that would be a fun show, especially like with her, all her siblings and stuff. That seems like a show that's writes itself.
Right.
They've already had 3 of them, you know.
Yeah. I think you guys alluded to it the last time we talked about Stranger Things, how when you walk into her house and it feels like a made for, you know, like one of those family movies that's
Yes,
just gone
yeah.
off the rails.
It was
and it was
such a-
like, yeah, this is a tonal shift, but also like I'm kind of here for it. It's weird. Like her life. Wow, she is. It kind of explains her, like why she's so smart and by the books and just like straight laced, you know, Jesus-y, like just like it's because your whole world is chaos and this is the only thing you can control.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So you when we talked about it last, you hadn't seen that one yet, I don't think. So
Right.
yeah, it is like the show just derailed into a totally different show, different thing.
It's so funny to watch the people who have seen literal like monsters go, what is happening here? I'm kind of afraid.
Kids
Yeah.
running amok, and there's
Yeah.
a weird pretentious film director kid, and there's just all weird stuff. The Talisman, Stephen King's The Talisman.
Oh,
They're
that's
also
a weird one. They would do great with it.
Yeah. They're also going to produce or have something to do with a new live action Death Note series because Netflix had already done a live action movie that apparently was not received well. But they're going to do not connected to that, but based on Death Note, of course, the anime. They're going to do a live action series.
It's not unnecessary. I don't know why they try to do live action anime. You're never gonna be able to do it as well as, you know. You can do anything you want with anime. You can't with humans. It's stupid to try to redo it, and it's already good. You know, they're just gonna either do the same thing or screw it up.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been done well, right? Like,
Right.
you could argue that Disney has tried to do live action versions of their classics, but like, I don't know that they've done that. Like, if Disney can't do it well,
Right.
like, who else is going to do it well?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't we watch that Full Metal Alchemist live action thing at one point? That was not
We
good.
did.
Oh, Cowboy
Yeah.
Bebop. Is that good? That's the only thing I've heard that's...
You're
like,
right. I'd
That's
heard
maybe good.
I'd heard that was good. and it was canceled after immediately.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Kind of hope Netflix, like, whatever,
Yeah.
figures their stuff out. Netflix is going through something right now, okay?
Yeah.
As long as the Stranger Things and the Cobra Kais are safe, tell me they're safe.
None of them are safe. They could... Okay, they wouldn't do this with Stranger Things because Glow was not the phenomena that Stranger Things was. But...
Now I got a Muppet thing stuck in my head. Thanks.
Yep.
Phenomena. Do, 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 do.
Yep.
But I mean, the fact that it killed, and there was a pandemic at play, a little thing, but it still kills me that like a show could be producing its next season and they'll axe it, like they're filming and it's like nope. But they couldn't do that with Stranger Things.
I think Netflix is going through puberty or something. Like it's like a 13-year-old girl kind of right now. Like freaking
I feel
out
like
about
streaming
little
is.
stuff
Yeah.
Yeah.
Streaming, yeah,
This
because
is that's a good metaphor. I'm into it. Yeah.
it's a good point.
Yep.
Does it kind of hit? I think they've hit their saturation point,
Right.
or whatever.
And now they've got to figure out how to stay relevant in this thing they basically created.
What happened to that questionnaire thing that they sent out with all the social media stuff they wanted to do? They didn't do any of that.
That Netflix
As far as I know.
thing,
Yeah,
It was like it was like its own thing. It was like a Netflix. I don't want to say plus because they didn't want to go that route, but it was like
right.
like a next level thing, and it was like you were going to be able to affect change or
I'm still fascinated by that because I'd seen maybe like one article after that on some like kind of lesser known site. Like I'd seen nothing else about that, but that was an official survey I got, and we ran through it on the show question by question.
yeah.
And they were throwing a lot of kind of wild ideas out there, and some of them made sense. And I'm like, why aren't you doing this already?
Yeah, some of them were great.
And some of them were just like, why would you do that? I feel like the only thing they've really done, and it was things they were already doing. I know there's a couple probably officially produced podcasts, but they're like not on Netflix. I guess that makes sense. Netflix is not where people go for podcasts. But also like the games. But that's something they've wanted to lean into for a while. But their big push into like, we got games. You can stream games. They're all mobile games, man. And I get that everybody's on their phone, but I don't want mobile games. Like, that's not exciting. Everyone has a phone. They have mobile games. If you're going to stream, jump into like, if you're going to try to compete with a like streaming gaming service, I don't think mobile games. That's a thing that exists. It's not exciting.
Once again, they need to listen to us. Just do the minimum, the like pop-up information shows. That would right there would get them all the business.
Bring back the bonus features. We don't want a three episode docu-series about what we just watched.
Right.
That, I mean,
Right.
like, I'll watch that. I will watch that.
I'll watch it.
So keep
I don't want it.
keep doing that. But what I'd rather you spend your time and money on is just give me bonus features like a DVD.
Right.
Man,
That's
yeah.
what I miss.
Commentary
You used to give
track.
us DVDs.
Give us comment. Like, you can switch audio tracks to different languages. Give us a commentary track on some stuff.
Right.
Give us, a little extra.
Duffer Brothers commentary tracks on these episodes would have been
Right.
incredible.
Right.
Yep.
Get,
Yeah, you get twice the viewing of everything.
get
Oh
some-
yeah, it would drive their numbers through the roof. It would keep people on the service longer.
You get some, especially something like very pop culture-y, like Stranger Things. Pull in one of those YouTubers that's doing like every Easter egg and whatever. Give us an every Easter egg
Yes,
commentary.
exactly. Yes.
A little.
I was just thinking for the comic book ones, that would be
Oh,
insane because I
yeah.
know, like all the kids that I know at least that watch those shows don't know crap about the comics, but they all have Wikipedia, and that's where they spend half their time. And then they're trying to school me on stuff, which they can because I had never even read those comics either. Some of them, but they act like they know what they're talking about, and they don't. They could get that from Netflix and be spending their time there instead of whatever else they're doing.
And talk about like the He-Man show that Kevin Smith did. Kevin Smith practically invented the commentary track. Well, not the commentary track, but podcasting. And so, like, basically, he'd just have to watch the show and comment while it happens, and tell me that people that love Kevin Smith wouldn't watch that just to hear his commentary.
I bet Kevin Smith would record commentary tracks for all kinds of shows that have nothing to do with him.
Oh my
For
God, that's
dirt
a
cheap. The man loves to talk.
No
yes.
Have
He
the
would do
Kevin Smith
commentary tracks for
commentary
Cobra
series.
Kai. He would do it for other series. He'd do it for Stranger Things. He does it now, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not getting paid for it, sort of.
Right. No, yeah, exactly. You know he'd be down to do that. The man loves to talk. That's what he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
He almost loves it more than making movies now.
Yeah. Yeah. He's better at it than making movies.
Oh.
That's
Yeah.
rude. That's rude.
Well, it's not.
I like
inaccurate.
Kevin's man. What was that? Yoga hosers. Whew, that really.
That did
I'm
it.
sorry.
That did it,
But-
yeah.
Sorry
I am
that
excited
exists.
about Clerks 3. But
too.
before this goes into the Kevin Smith podcast, back to Stranger Things. Part
Yes,
2. Part 2.
Right. Okay, so yeah, we talked a bit about like what we liked about this season previously, and like there were lots of slasher references specifically, and I was like, yep, this is the slasher season. Lots of Nightmare on Elm Street nods. This season there's a lot of gruesomeness. These last 2 episodes, Stephen King had tweeted a few days ago. He had just watched the penultimate episode. So he still had the finale left to go. And he said, the penultimate episode of Stranger Things is great, but it's got such an ominous tone, makes me worried to watch the last episode. And I'm just like, you should be. The last episode goes into like worst case scenario nightmare territory for a bit. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what are they doing? The look. So we're going to go, okay, we're just going to say spoilers for the last couple episodes of Stranger Things, season 4. The look on Melanie's face when Max's limbs started to snap. And I'm with her.
Yeah.
But I was like, Max, no, Max is untouchable. You can't. She's one
I
of
really thought she was, yeah.
But once they started actually snapping limbs, I was like, oh, God, how far are they going to go with this? That was brutal.
I did think maybe they'd do something, but not as much as they did. Not even close.
Like the only one that I knew was Eddie. Like Eddie was bound.
He was
from
the next
day
Bob.
one.
He was the new Bob.
Yeah, he was he was designed for us to fall in love with him over the
Yeah.
course of the season and then lose him in that same
Right.
season.
Yeah, I kind of knew from the first scene he's in. It's like, oh, they're kind of putting a lot into this guy's personality. He's this new character.
I was a little
He's-
worried
he's-
about Steve because they were
Right.
really like building him up as like, like I've really learned so much. And I was like, oh God, he might die. He might die.
Right,
don't like-
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't like the whole the relationship tug of war crap with what's her name, Nancy.
Right.
That's annoying. But wait, real quick, sorry, before I forget again. The family, the girl, the Dustin's girlfriend, reminded me of what's that show? Just the 10 of Us, and the oldest star on that was the chick who plays Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think they did that on purpose.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know. I was at one point. I was disappointed. I was like, if Vecna doesn't say, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy."
I know. I was the whole time. I was like, "That's too convenient that it's Nancy."
I know, I know.
Got to use that.
But that probably would have been too on the nose. But I'd have loved it. Oh, I forgot what. So what else? I forgot the train of thought I was gonna have.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It happens. It happens a lot. It's me.
They just basically like it was off to the races. Like there wasn't a lot of downtime. Like there were low moments and whatnot where you're just getting ready, but other than that, it was like pretty much nonstop action for the last 2 episodes.
So the second to last episode was that when. What episode did they finally leave the bunker thing that 11 was in? Well,
I want to say it was there because it was that episode was called Papa. And
Right,
that's
right.
basically where we got like Papa doing his thing, you know. He's like trying to protect her, but not in a good way. And yeah, that's basically what the crux of that episode was her having to strike out on her own and then ultimately losing that connection completely.
The helicopter sequence was awesome. I loved like just the little things, the sound design to where like she does her scream thing, because that's how she does her powers. She has to scream,
Right.
essentially.
And hold her hand out.
And hold her hand out. It was cool because she also had the, I'm assuming, power dampening thing on.
Oh yeah. We had questions about that. Like we were like, was it on? Because he made it sound like I would never use it though.
Right.
But then it started shorting out, and it was like, oh wait, that thing was on.
I thought it was one of those things that would blow up your head if you got too far away or something like that. That's what I thought it was.
that's precautions.
Yeah.
But like just little things, whatever. It's like big like spectacle movie techniques of like her scream with the sound of the, like it was, you know, helicopter blades or like a fan blade does like it would get that like volume tremolo thing, and just that whole sequence was so good. It was amazing. I have seen some criticisms of the series, of the season, with like just things like convenient timing all around all the time. Like they happened to get there then. The fact that the Russia stuff at all tied in to what was happening and the timing of that, that's fine. I don't care about none of that.
Right.
Like I get it. I get Stranger Things. It's so good overall. I can overlook some of the cheesiness, because I think the Russia plotline was fine but weird. It's still a weird decision.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they didn't bring everyone together till almost like the post credits, basically.
Yeah,
like it's just the
yeah.
very end, like tag to set up the next season, I guess.
Yeah.
I was surprised that they actually wrecked up the town.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
You think they waited so long because if Will was there, he totally would have been gone?
I have a theory about Will now.
I'm
I'm curious about Will because, like, I was under the assumption that he was no longer connected. He was no longer connected to the Mind Flayer or whatever. But the Mind Flayer is one. So, like, is he basically hiding in Will now?
He's Voldemort he's hiding on the back of his head, man.
Yeah.
It's so funny because earlier, and I know, Melanie, you haven't watched this because I watched it earlier while you were taking a nap, I think. The pitch meeting, like Ryan George, he does the pitch meeting videos on YouTube. And it was for the Stranger Things season 4, and his whole thing like was explaining like the villain, and he's like, oh, so Voldemort. He's like, no, it's different. His name starts with a V, and he's like, yeah. Anyway, because it is when you like the whole plot is like that's totally some Harry Potter. And then the rest of the video, he just referred to him as Voldemort. He's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. He's like, well, does he have a nose? And he's like, well,
So used to have a nose for a whole hot minute.
Right. One frustration I do have though is with Eleven's powers, but I feel like it's the whole Superman problem. We were talking about Superman and Kryptonite. Like he's potentially super powerful to where nothing should be a problem. So they have to make her powers very like inconsistent or like intentionally temperamental, maybe, so that plot can happen.
Well, and undefined, like who knows what the extent of her powers are, because it seems like they just keep building and changing.
Sometimes she gets a nosebleed from like moving a couch. Sometimes she tears a hole through space time, and you know
Right.
it's fine.
Blows
Resurrect the
Vecna's
dead.
face off.
Resurrect the dead. That's fine. That just
Oh,
costs-
yeah.
that just
There was
costs a
one
2-day
thing where it's
time
like,
jump.
oh no, just don't Matrix this. Don't you Neo this.
Yes,
Yeah,
I had the same thought.
Did you? I was like, oh my God. If she just loves him too, or her too dang much.
Actually, I think what initially put that thought in my head was when she was like, I don't know, on the ropes and like defeated basically 11, and then Mike had his "I love you" speech, and I was like, oh, See, she just needed the power of love.
The power of love.
And that just made me think of, I think specifically Matrix 1 with Trinity's
Yeah.
speech. But the Max thing made me think then of Matrix, I don't know, Reloaded
2.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Where he could reach in and like
Yep.
pull the bullet out of her heart.
That's what I thought of. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, please just don't go that far. And they thankfully had enough restraint to stop just short of that.
They didn't snap the jaw. And that's so grotesque. They didn't snap the
Yeah.
jaw. And that's when I was like, okay, she's fine.
Right.
But then like, I don't know, man. If they hadn't have like pulled the little comic booky Matrix stuff towards the end, they kind of made it worse to where she's like scared and suffering. Like that that was pretty bothersome.
right.
Maybe she's living on the back of Will's head too.
I am intrigued that like she's just vacant.
Right.
They,
She's not home.
She's empty.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a shell. Like
Yeah.
she essentially died, and 11 just kept her alive.
Which is, I mean, that's sad, but I feel like there's gonna be a follow up on that. Otherwise, they
Yeah.
would have just killed her. Like, why?
Right. This is an option.
I do appreciate how they handled Will's thing, whatever his thing exactly is. For whatever reason, there's been weird speculation about his character's sexuality for like 2 seasons now. It's like, that's okay. People,
Yeah.
that's a strange choice, but whatever. And it does seem like maybe they're going to go with something like that. But I appreciate that, like, man, that kid can act, for one.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
scenes are pretty upsetting. And also,
And the brother scene was good too. It was
Right.
like, you know what? This is pretty good.
right. Yeah, I like that scene in the pizza place between those two. And I also do like it because Will is he's been kind of a plot character, right? For at least the first two seasons for sure. And otherwise, like, not much other than like he can't seem to grow up with the other ones, and like he's struggling with that. Otherwise, there hasn't been a lot for him character wise, and so just there's little bits of his like emotional state is pretty interesting in this. That maybe the Duffer Brothers were like, whoa, this kid can actually cry. We gotta how can we work this in?
This kid can actually cry. How do we make him cry?
And then the scene, even though I know people loved Eddie, I was not wild about his character. I kind of came around to him a little bit, but he's such like a kind of over the top character. And in a little bit just seemed like a stereotype, but whatever. That's, that's Stranger Things. That's kind of what they deal with. But his death scene wasn't a big deal for me. I was like, okay, he's going to run off to be a hero. He's going to die. But where Dustin talks to his uncle or whoever the guy was,
Oh, that was
Yeah.
brutal.
that was a tough scene, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too.
That Dustin kid can act.
Right. And Dustin,
These kids have grown up into really good actors, really, overall.
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it'd be kind of embarrassing to be on like the world's biggest hit show and you suck. You know, so
I kind of feel like that's a risk when you, especially something like this, and some of those scenes made me think that, like, man, you think they're like, as the kids got older, and it's like, okay, they can actually act, because I feel like good kid actors don't necessarily always retain that, or what you need them to do as a kid, maybe they can do, but they don't have the range for some of the like more dramatic stuff later on. It's like, you guys lucked out a little bit with this cast, I think.
yeah.
It's like some of those eras with the Harry Potter kids where it's like, you're like, they got there eventually, but like there were some rough years in the Harry Potter series where it's like, Daniel Radcliffe, dude, you got to learn to emote.
I think, not that he's a bad actor at all, but I think there's a lot more like Macaulay Culkins than there are Elijah Woods. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, Macaulay Culkin, when he was a kid anyway, was good at certain things.
Right.
He's good at being an ornery kid and a creepy kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he had two looks.
Yeah.
And Elijah Wood's been acting his butt off since he was like 2.
Oh man,
He's the best.
he can do it all too, man. Like he can be
I
just
know.
like endearing and adorable, and then just the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
He loves the worst movies too.
Yes, he does.
He's such
like the worst.
he has such a creepy. He has horrible creep taste, and it's amazing because he then puts himself in these really weird projects. What did we watch not long ago? Come to Daddy. We watched
Yeah.
where I thought it was going to be more of a horror movie, and it kind of ended up going much more like thriller. But his character's so weird, and it's just like this is such an Elijah Wood character at this point.
He produced that one. What is that show? I can't remember what it is, but it's some really weird thing with a serial killer dad and son that are always naked. I don't know. It's really gross.
Was
Somebody
that
made me
Greasy
watch it.
Strangler?
Yes, that thing.
Yeah, he
Oh,
produces a lot
man.
of real twisted. He has good. He has twisted taste, which I like because at this point, if I hear he's in something, I can
Yeah.
kind of assume it's going to be of a certain tone and that I'm going to like
Right.
it. Even that show that we really got into, which was like an American version of a foreign show, Wilfred,
Yeah, I love that.
Wilfred, where it's like he has this imaginary dog, but the dog is just a dude in a dog costume.
The dog's real, but it's not actually a dude in a costume.
Okay, you're right.
Is that
It's a-
still on Netflix?
I don't know where
Like it was
it's
for
at.
a long time, but I think it dropped off at some point.
That's by the way, Paul, never watched one episode. I'm not sure what show you're referring to. Stranger Things? Could it be?
If so, then that's weird, and you should watch it.
Anyway, Elijah Wood's great. Point is,
Yeah, he
Stranger
is.
Things season 4, Elijah Wood's great. He's not in it, but he's just great.
That's like Elijah Wood, and Elijah Wood is great.
Yeah. So one of those kids might be in Elijah Wood. That's what we're saying.
Yes.
That's the point. That's how we got here.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's not going to be that Wolfhart.
No.
He's a Macaulay Culkin.
He's a Macaulay Culkin. That's your next T-shirt for those fine folks over at Strangers with T-shirts.
Right, that is a good one. Yeah, I like that. Oh, here this says that they got 5 upcoming projects. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Anyway, I liked it. Man, I was like, are they really going to end it on like Max dies and the city is swallowed up? End of the season, I was like, whoa, that's dark. And I mean, they still kind of did, but they, most people are okay. The people you care about for the most part.
I mean, how are they gonna like Doctor Who this away though? Like, there's literal like ash in the air and like rips in the sky, and there's probably gonna be a time jump between
Oh,
this
yeah,
series
probably
and
is.
whenever 5 happens.
In
So
3
like,
years.
it's gonna be like that for a while.
It's gonna
Yeah.
turn into what's that air raid siren game? You know what I
Silent
mean?
Hill.
it's
Yeah,
gonna
no,
turn
it does
into
have
Silent Hill.
that the upside down atmosphere, especially applied to like normal world. It does have that feel. Yeah, because even as like big and ridiculous as season 3 got, where there's a giant creature causing a ruckus across town.
Yeah.
A ruckus.
That's a good Wu-Tang song. BT Dubs.
Yeah, I love Red Man.
Exactly.
One
Time for
stars.
some action.
But even that, they're like, and like 20 something people went missing, like mall fire. So
Yeah.
how are they gonna like magic
the
away
peop-
this town? Is I guess they kind of already did. It was earthquake, right?
Right.
The people in Hawkins
yeah.
are like the same people that lived in New York in that one episode of Doctor Who where the Statue of Liberty is a weeping angel. Like
Yeah.
nobody sees it, but I don't know how.
Paul says Supernatural fixed cliffhangers like that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, Supernatural is not a great example of continuity. I mean, it is, because 15 years, but also a lot of plot holes.
I feel like, and maybe they will somehow, like, whoa, the government, like, nope, it was just an earthquake, nothing weird going on. But I feel like that's maybe why this is so effective and shocking when it's like they don't really succeed in what they were trying to do, is because it feels like there are definitely more permanent consequences to this than just like we can kind of reset to a new status quo next season.
Well, maybe 11 will learn how to do what Vecna does, and she'll just like suck up all the power from I don't know, the bats or something, and
Right.
And get super powerful. Do that. And who establishes these rules? Like, if I get 4 people, by the stroke of whatever, then who gets to decide that? That's silly. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's
Um,
magic. It's upside
but
down magic.
but if that's true, then once Max was alive again, then shouldn't that stuff just sealed right back up? Because now, you know,
That's actually what I was kind of expecting to happen. I was like, she
mm-hmm.
kind of resurrected or whatever, brought her back to life, and then they went to like black screen for a long time before they came back to 2 days later. And I was like, okay, so that
Mm-hmm.
I was like, is she gonna Superman this? I think I even said that, fly around
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
basically time travel to undo everything. Is she gonna Superman
Yeah.
this by undoing that? But
Mm-hmm.
that's not really what happened.
Yeah. You know what I was really surprised about though? The like secondary bad guy, kind of the football player guy that was
Oh yeah.
blaming all them. He got taken out like real quick and sudden, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like more to come from him and his plot line than just like a line goes across the town and it hits me. I'm done.
Right. Like, yeah, no, that was surprising because it's like, oh, I feel like he got taken out, and if you weren't really paying attention, you wouldn't even noticed. It was
Right?
so fast.
Yep.
So Ghostbusters are going to fix everything for season 5, basically, is what Paul's saying.
Yeah. Well, one of them is their grandkid, so makes sense.
That's right. It's the Ghostbusters Afterlife Stranger Things cinematic universe.
Once they get back to New York, they can do anything.
Yeah.
Tell them about the Twinkie Ray.
Um,
But still, it's Stranger Things and it's good because it just is.
it is good. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
So there's gonna be a spin-off of Stranger Things, and you said, do you know what it is or who?
No, I don't think there's really any information about it.
It's got to be the guy that went to Russia with
Do you think so? Murray or whatever?
He's like,
The
yeah.
Murray Show. That'd be great. Just him
Yeah.
going to karate on Tuesday.
Well, and he's into a bunch of those conspiracies and stuff. Like, he gives the most opportunity for adventure, I think, of all the characters that you meet.
That's true. And it's like, who is this guy anyway? He obviously kind of knows some stuff, but he is such a character that shouldn't work for me because he's so good. Like the karate thing or whatever, the black belt. It's so stupid, but man, I was kind of on board
Entertaining.
with it.
Yeah.
I was on board with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the plane, that when he was like going through his reasoning, and he's like, he's not 16, but he doesn't have a black belt either. I could take him. That was fantastic.
What about like him and Yuri just like teaming up and smuggling peanut butter into the Soviet Union?
Yeah. See, yeah.
So
Be like the Odd Couple, but in the 80s and the Cold War.
yeah, I kind of feel like maybe because they've really it's been 2 seasons that Russians have been a significant plot line. Maybe they'll shy away from that for later stuff. I don't know, but
Now they're gonna lean into it now because they were like, "Oh yeah, we can make them the bad guys again." Not feel bad about it, you know.
Oh, I'm reading Paul's comments. Strangest things, even stranger things. So, what we need is a young Balky Bartakamus, and we could have perfect Stranger Things.
oh my god,
Do the happy dance or the whatever dance it was.
so I was just reading another article on that Duffer Brothers deal, but the upside down pictures. So the things that they are set to produce: a stage play set in the world of Stranger Things, a Stranger
Like
Things
a musical where they're all just running up that hill.
spin-off. Maybe they're like,
An
worked out a
ensemble, orchestral swell of Kate Bush.
right, right.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
Paul, get on that. Write that screenplay.
A Stranger Things spin-off series. So that's in addition to the stage play. The live action series adaptation of Death Note. A series adaptation of The Talisman, which is the Stephen King and Peter Straub novel. And something else by the creators of Dark Crystal Age of Resistance.
That other show that Netflix canceled?
Yeah, that other show that I heard nothing but good things about that Netflix canceled.
Yeah, it was incredible.
That's what I heard. I didn't watch it because I was like, maybe I'll get around to
No
it.
point in getting invested now, kind of like Swamp Thing. I still haven't seen it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes me mad. I hate when there's, especially when I hate when there's something so good and then they just don't do anything with it. Very, very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating.
Yes, it is. I agree. Okay, real quick, we're going long.
Sorry.
Too much Doctor Who talk. Yeah, Melanie, it's all your fault we talked about Doctor Who for half an hour.
Yeah.
You're the one that does that.
Well, I do keep backtracking, so.
Okay, well, let's talk about the boys a little bit.
I really don't think we'll have to talk too much because it's just like it's kind of retreading a lot. Like it's just like, oh, here we go. Oh, we got to pull it back and we got to do things the old way. The boys are back together. You know, it's like it's the same old, but then with like the extreme stuff ratcheted up again.
Yeah.
I know he's a bad guy and I'm supposed to not like him, but I kind of like the Deep. He's funny.
The deep. I hate it.
It's hard not to like feel bad for him though. Like there's some scenes where it's just like Homelander
I
is
know.
just trolling him
Yeah.
in the most abusive way. Ugh.
Yeah. I don't understand that, man. I just don't get it.
I will say Herogasm was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I think that episode maybe sticks out most to me because seeing Homelander actually like kind of get beat down, which
Right.
and they've smartly been like playing like that's had a major effect on him because he's never had that.
Right.
That was good and very satisfying because he's such a like despicable villain, right?
Right.
It's weird and the recurring theme of like animal sexual stuff in those episodes.
Yes. Yeah.
Speaking of
and
the
that's where
deep-
the deep just keeps coming in. You know.
Yeah.
Literally.
But what do you expect? I mean, he's a fish man. That seems like a normal. Like he should be a mermaid. Or wait, he has gills, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He does.
He gets gill punched by was that whole scene with him and A-Train. Oh, and then they do weird stuff with A-Train this season too.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my.
The A-Train plot, not really his plot, like is ridiculous. Like A-Train to Africa.
Yeah.
But I guess I like
Right.
that because that establishes that, including his family, they're like, dude, you don't care about none of that. You kind of a
Yeah.
joke. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But that bit with the the very kind of, it's not timely. It's just kind of all the time, but on the nose commentary.
Yeah.
I liked it, but
Yeah, somehow all the on the nose commentary lands in this thing.
yeah, and it's so on the nose, like
Yeah. Like, this is the kind of stuff that Doctor Who would have got beat up for. But just the way that they execute is different. It lands different in this.
well, it's not totally ham-fisted, and it's like even when it is hammy, the Boys kind of has that attitude where it's like
Right.
tongue-in-cheek and defiant, and like not that it doesn't mean the commentary it's saying, but it doesn't care. Oh, it's just
Right.
like, F you, here's what it's doing, here's what we're doing. Goofy, good.
Yeah. And everything is so exaggerated. Everything is
Yeah.
so dialed up that, like, the stuff that's actually kind of real also feels, like, strangely surreal.
Right.
Right. And you know what? Like, what's that one guy's name? I don't remember his name, but Starlight's ex-boyfriend. He's one of those things where I'm like he's gonna end up being a bad guy. He's gonna end up being a bad guy. He's gonna end up being a bad guy. And then I was disappointed that he was a good guy because I didn't, when I was like definitively he is, it was, he's already gone. It's just
That character seemed like a lot of setup for. I guess it was supposed to be motivation, but he seemed like a lot of setup for like, just like and maybe that's the point. Like, make you think, this character's gonna be somebody, but it's like, he's just kind of like a plot thing, really.
Well, I did not trust him so much that now I feel bad that I didn't trust him the whole time. I'm sorry, guy. That is fictional. I'm sorry. I didn't trust you.
Right. Well, she shouldn't have trusted him because it's not that he didn't intentionally screw them over, but when he went to A-Train, I was like, what are you doing, dude? This guy, his mouth's too big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have a grasp of the situation.
Right.
But I guess, setting a character up like that just to like then do that is kind of its own shock.
Almost like Eddie.
Right.
Except we actually, like, they tried to
He
make
had
us
an
care
arc.
about Eddie. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, this guy, it was like, he's like some pop star, reality show star. Like,
that song. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like, I can't sing that. They're gonna put me in jail. Like,
right.
Yeah, you shouldn't be singing that. Anyway, but that's exactly it. That's a prime example of like the satire of the Boys is that song, to where it's like, it's not that far off of like boy band songs, but it's also exaggerated enough where it's like unmistakably like why would you sing that? Why would you write that if you weren't still a teenager? Like, whoa.
Right.
Actually, one of the creepiest things in the whole thing this season, I think, was like he shows up at that orphanage and it's like powered kids, and it's like, oh my God, you don't think about how scary that would be. Powered kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever check out any of the animated?
I haven't. No, is it Diabolical or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
That touches on that
Oh man.
in several of the, not all of them, but in several of them. It was pretty good. It's pretty entertaining, and I believe most of the episodes are like, they're short, like 10, 15 minutes, something like that.
It made me think of, I don't know if you guys have ever read Firestarter. It made me think of Firestarter because there's a quite a bit in there
the
where
shop.
she's like, well, when she's little and she accidentally burns her mom because she's upset, kids don't know how to control their powers, but when your power is like blowing up somebody's head and you get mad, your parents aren't going to last long. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know how any of them have parents anymore. Actually, really, you think about how often kids react to things negatively, unless they. I don't know how it works. They were born with their powers, right? They didn't like wait until they got hit puberty or anything like that.
Right, because in the one season when they kind of discovered that like that they had like a lab with babies with like powers and stuff.
Compound V, yeah.
Oh yeah, the laser baby. I remember.
Yeah, the laser baby. I don't know if it's the same baby, but the first episode of that cartoon series
It's
is
the
a
best.
laser baby thing. It's so good.
Yeah.
That episode in particular.
And she's so cute.
It's like a Mr. Magoo, except instead of like a blind old guy, it's a baby with laser vision who like just annihilates people in gory ways when she sneezes. So
Yeah.
it like is walking like crawling through all this harm, and this guy's trying to get to her, and it's still like total cartoon, like classic cartoon logic, to where it, like she ends up okay every time.
Yeah.
It's-
Like walks off the edge of a building, but then there's like a girder, being removed.
It's
that
so
kind of
weird,
stuff.
that juxtaposition of that kind of animation, and it's really well done. With like, then she sneezes and it's just blood and guts and people just getting eviscerated. It's like, whoa, but that's the boys. It's totally fitting.
Like, this has made me think back to when, like we had talked about this with Brandon Lapani, the technology geek, way back when he was trying to get us all onto like the shows that are on Amazon Prime.
Right.
And if you had told me back then that some of the best comic book shows and arguably some of the edgiest comic book shows were going to be on Amazon Prime, I don't think I would have believed you.
As hardcore as something like maybe Umbrella Academy might go, or Doom Patrol, none of them have touched some of the stuff that happened this season in The Boys, man. That first episode with the shrinking guy, their version of the Atom,
Yeah.
nothing has touched that level. The only thing the closest I could think of is like, and it's not a superhero thing, is that one season of Ash vs. the Evil Dead, where with the I don't know if it was a reanimated corpse or something, but like he was a naked dude and there was piercing, and it was like very explicit in his face, and it was just disgusting. That's like the closest to another show I can think of that went that level with explicitness.
Yeah.
And we've got not only The Boys, but we've also got Invincible. And I imagine Invincible season 2 is going to be, soon enough.
Oh man,
Hopefully.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Invincible's so good.
Animators don't need to. I mean, they can work from home, right? They shouldn't have been affected by the pandemic or anything. I'm just saying.
I don't know if that's how. I kind of think that I was thinking that with a lot of kind of jobs, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because of sometimes they need. I mean, it depends on their computer setups, but also like the software they need, stuff like that. I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
Well, we should be able to. The technology we have today, you can send there anything through the interwebs. Or you should-
Paul's got a good point here. Like, I'm not saying that I love Amazon's anything
right,
in terms of like how they treat people, but yeah.
Yeah, he says none of the others have caused a company to create a standards and practices division. Man, that's such the thing with these companies. Disney and Amazon and, well, I'm sure basically any company.
Monopoly! Sorry.
Monopolies and, like, it's not even just that they're like a media company. They're such huge, wide-ranging companies. It's like, a big chunk of their business is involved in just the shadiest, crappiest deals, whether overseas or whatever, that like really is worth boycotting everything that company does. But you can't. They're too big. They make too many things. So.
And I mean, they suppress or buy out any competition, so you don't have another option for the most part, except another one that's just like that. You know what I mean?
Amazon in particular, and like maybe like branching out to other aspects of industry. Like, I was watching a thing not long ago about how they'll just Amazon Basics will like, oh, this whoever small mom and pop type thing is making this cool handbag that's doing really well, and suddenly Amazon Basics has a clone of that, and
Right.
that's what they're going to list first. And it's like, I know companies will do, like, there's of course knockoffs, but the fact that it's Amazon itself will do a knockoff of popular products and then prioritize that listing just seems extra greasy and shady.
And I fall for it too. You know, like I've gotten a handful of Amazon Basics things just because they're that much cheaper or whatever.
Right.
Right.
And I know my schools, like before I switched districts, one of the fans that I got in my room was Amazon Basics oscillating fan. I was like, wow.
Well, it's like Walmart. I mean, everybody's heard how Walmart will go into a town. The
yeah.
prices are so low, everything else ends up closing. So all anybody has is Walmart to work at, and then they're not getting enough business, so they shut down, and then the town is dead. But besides that, also, I used to work at Walmart, and I remember, and it disgusted me so much. The economy was not doing great, and our store manager was like, the economy is doing horrible, so we're doing great. Because the poorer everybody gets, the more that is their only option. It sucks so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the same company who I'm like, there's not enough people, and morale's terrible. And they're
Right.
like, too many of the people have been working here too long. They either need to retire or quit, then we'll hire more people because we don't want to pay them. We don't want to pay out as much as those people are earning. We'd rather force them into quitting
Right.
and hire new people for cheaper. And those are a manager who definitely wasn't supposed to tell us that was telling us that. So that's
Right.
how they do. Yeah. Paul says there's a movie, The Town That Walmart Forgot. Is that the name of it? That's such a weird name. But yeah, exactly.
I was in really good shape when I worked at Walmart, though. I'll give them that, because I was
Yeah,
always
me
having to
too.
hustle.
Overnight stock, man. You want to get in good shape, get an overnight stock position.
Yeah.
Get one in like chemicals or dog food or the pet food where you have to lift heavy things all the time,
Or-
especially.
Popping water, man.
Yep, that too.
Freaking 8-foot pallets you gotta try and tear down when you're 5 feet tall. Anyway, let's move on. This is not Grawlix stuff.
I wanted to mention real quick because we mentioned Umbrella Academy, and we talked about it for a moment. But
Yeah. It's wonderful. I love it.
that's Melanie's show. She loves it, and I'm like,
I
it's
do.
good, but I mean, I was not Doom Patrol. I will say, after this last season, I was like, I found myself a couple days later, like, I want to know what Luther's doing. What's going on with Klaus? I want to know
Yeah.
what are they up to?
Yeah.
Not
Why Luther-
Allison. No, I don't
Luther's
care about her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other characters, I was also curious how they were gonna handle the Elliot Page thing, and they addressed it. You know, they made it part of the character, obviously, and then just like comes up a couple times and they moved on, and I was like, that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah. I still think it's a little weird that, like, some people I don't think ever even were told anything. They just accepted it. Like, there was a couple that were like, so nice haircut, and they're like, oh no, it's like a whole thing for like 1 or 2 characters, but the rest of them, I don't know how they found out. But it just happened, and they were like, okay, whatever.
I will say that this season felt like a COVID season, and I don't know when it was shot. And it's such an ensemble show that, like Stranger Things, for example, although I think Stranger Things was partially a COVID season too, I feel like they kind of have to do that when they're coordinating everyone's schedules, because
Right.
it's constantly small groups of people and all doing different things. Unlike Stranger Things, Umbrella Academy, it seems like they're always like kind of switching out sometimes, and like so it's always different small groups of people off doing separate things. And yeah, in terms of the Victor Vanya thing, I feel like there's definitely characters that I think the show just assumes like, well, you just didn't see that scene. It just happened sometime. But there are characters who just like knew, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess they just know. So like, things get lost in the shuffle. There's so many characters.
Yeah. They don't need them all. If they had 5 in Klaus, that'd be my favorite show.
Dude, hey, you've got a little road trip segment with them.
I know.
It was fun.
Well, also the fact that this season seems to be like, at least the way that they ended last season, because I haven't seen any of it, but like it seems like it's created like a splinter timeline or whatever. Like this is probably if they were ever going to have to deal with this kind of a thing, this is perfect for a Victor Vanya thing.
Right, right.
Yeah. I think I don't really know what to think. They do all kinds of weird stuff, and I don't ever know where they're going, and I don't know what their end game is. What are they planning? I never know.
So the end of this season definitely left me with more questions than I had going into the season.
How is that possible?
Right. Well,
Right.
It was a total question mark at the beginning of this season.
I kind of
Yeah.
watching that YouTube video helped fill in some gaps. But yeah, I know. It's not a bad season. I think it's a pretty good season, but it's also very contained to several, just like a handful of little locations, very much. And this becomes somewhat, it kind of plays into the plot, but the world feels empty. I definitely think this was a COVID season.
I love that hotel though. Real quick, I wanted to answer Paul's comment or respond to it. I'd be like, who went to Walmart? Because we talked a bunch too before you got here.
Oh, he's got the doctor in there
Where?
because the doctor treated the boy.
Oh, you're right.
What did we spend the first 20 minutes on? It wasn't the doctor, because then we spent another 20 minutes on the doctor later.
Right.
I don't even remember.
Our show has impact.
What do we
It's
do?
memorable.
What do we do?
What is this show?
What even are we?
Yeah.
Hey,
You know what we do? We just sit here and be amazed.
I was just going to say, this show is kind of amazing.
I can
What
use
else
them.
should we be amazed by?
You should be amazed by some scholars from the University of Catania. It's two physicists and one economist. Built a computer model, filled it with information about skills and talent, and how people can use those to advance in life, basically. Then they ran a whole bunch of simulations over and over. They used fake people, but they gave them all different characteristics of real people. Over 40 years, each of the simulation went over a 40-year period. And it always ended up using the on the 80-20 rule, where 20% of people own 80% of wealth. It always ended up that way. And when they broke it down into why the successful people succeeded, luck is the main determining factor every time. The wealthiest people are super average. And that actually is the trend that you see in real life too. The most successful people are never the most talented people. Like ever. Hardly ever. They just aren't. And the people who are super talented and will help make somebody money, but not them. You know what I mean?
Right. That makes sense.
So the most successful people aren't the most talented or skilled or hardworking. They are just the luckiest. So good to know.
So this new segment, I'm going to break down Melanie's story in just like the dumbest way. Scientists play Sims, figure out what everybody knew.
Yeah.
I like that. When Paul mentions the Hadron Collider, and I was just going to be like, now, this is amazing, but will it be reality next week? Or will we have yet another way to pronounce the Berenstain Bears?
That's what happened last time they turned it on. We lost
Yeah,
the Berenstain.
we lost the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And Ed McMahon apparently had his own thing that wasn't the Publisher Clearinghouse thing.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a lot of science sometimes is like, we pretty much know this is what is happening, but we have to do some kind of a study to like prove it. And I think that's kind of what it was. They're like, we see this happening over and over in life, so let's run a bunch of simulations that do the same thing, but we can kind of control it to see the outcomes f times that we can draw a conclusion from it. Because,
So when somebody in the GOP can be like, I'm just a guy. I'm just a normal guy like all of you, that you could drink a beer with. Do. No,
Yeah.
you're not. You're not talented. You're not a guy. You're a robot. You were made with rich person money, and you're just you're the puppet. You're the not Biden that's actually running things.
The not Biden. That's
Go with the most absurd conspiracy theory that Biden's not actually the president. Somebody else is the president, and he's just not even a real thing.
I'm sorry. This person's never going to watch your show anyway. Somebody told me the other day they raised gas prices to try and force people to go back to work. And I'm like, do you not see how that is the exact opposite of what that would do?
very counter to
Yeah.
if that's the intended purpose
Right?
intention.
Also, gas prices have dropped by 22 cents in the last week.
Really?
Well, I
Nobody
don't
talking
remember-
about that.
Well, that's a good thing. We don't talk about good things.
We don't.
Right.
We certainly can't give Biden any credit for that. Although we were blaming the worldwide gas prices on him.
Yeah.
Right. What is the? There is a thing. Something about, I don't know if it's just, whose fault it is? Joe Biden, or it's Joe Biden's fault or something. But it's like, oh, so that's the modern thanks Obama.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's Thanks Obama Part 2. V2.
Paul, they have robot cops, and they don't
look like
do a
Daleks.
they don't do a very good job.
They look like
No, well, there was that one that they were trying to design. Remember,
Yeah,
that floats
it
around
did.
every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's $12 a gallon in Greenland.
Yeah,
Listen, just don't go anywhere. Not
Don't
be
go-
like me.
Why do you think the gas prices are going down? No one's going anywhere.
I think
They
we should
can't
all
afford
just-
to.
We should all just have bikes with big umbrellas over them, and that's what we do. And we just need to go a little slower, relax. There you go.
Relax.
Like in Flubber?
I don't know that I've ever
Yes.
seen Flubber,
Yes.
but
It's
but
like
just,
a Flubber bike, doesn't he? With like an umbrella on top? I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. But yeah, just something to keep the elements off you so you can get where you need to go.
But it gets cold here.
Well, you can put a heater in there.
I tried to let the dog out with an umbrella. He was not having it.
Really?
He had to go really bad, and he still didn't want to stay out there, even under the umbrella. I think the sound of the rain hitting the umbrella was freaking him out, anyways. So
Right.
like, he's like, "No, I'm not having any of this. Rain,
I'm just-
umbrella, none of it."
I've decided dogs are the funniest animals.
They're pretty funny. They're pretty funny. Cats are good too, but like, dogs are like, I don't know. Dogs might be intentionally funny, whereas cats are seldom intentionally funny.
No.
They're just like doing their thing and something goes wrong. That's cats. Whereas dogs are like, we don't care.
They have like most, I think, have just like this built-in natural goofiness
Right.
and kind of obliviousness to like how kind of goofy they are.
Right. Yeah.
I guess when
Yeah.
cats are funny, it's when they think they're being cool and they bit you or something,
Right.
You know,
Where they're trying to attack you or something and something goes horribly wrong.
dogs are just funny in the most innocent ways.
Yeah. Dogs are the real good people. That's why
Well,
everybody
somewhere.
cries. You can kill 100 people in a movie and nobody cares. You kill a dog,
It's true.
everybody cries.
Yeah.
It's true. Somewhere in, I think Ohio, there's a warehouse. They're keeping all the dog smiles.
What was that from? I remember you lost it whenever they said that. I don't remember.
That's why I say that was in the Pentaveret that
Oh.
Mike,
Oh.
Mike Myers Netflix
This is
show.
George Carlin had a good bit on dogs too because they have eyebrows. They just look like everything everything sad ever is happening to your dog right now.
Yeah.
And they just get it like, please, one more treat.
That is part of it too. Like the dogs have such expressive faces that some animals don't have. Yeah, I don't know.
What don't we have animal sign language by now? We should be able to communicate with them at this point. We should have it already. It should be done.
Yeah,
Get on it, scientists.
Melanie and I watched the Pentaveret. We talked about it, I think, on a couple episodes. I mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you're never around.
But we're glad you're here tonight.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
going to
thanks
guilt
for
trip
showing
you
up.
like a mother. You never come to see us anymore.
He's on a streak, man.
No, I know. I'm just giving him a hard time. He's here more often than not. Yeah, I will shame.
Mm-hmm. And if
Shame and
Cat-
degrade our listeners. That's what I like to do. That's my game. And pimpage. Speed pimpage. Hey, if you want to hear more of this, you should go to grawlixpodcast.com. Sometimes there's stuff posted there. Go there.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think there's enough posted there, you should check out our Patreon. Like Savannah, we mentioned her earlier. If you go there, there's all sorts of content that you can unlock for just $1 a month, which is ridiculous. Like Patreon even tells you to not do that anymore, but we're still doing it. We haven't listened. We don't listen to you, Patreon. We do our own thing.
We make our own rules, Patreon.
Even Dollar Tree isn't even $1 anymore, but we are.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't raise our prices. Come on.
No.
But Paul's right. Or electronicmediacollective.com. There's tons posted there.
It's true.
Yeah.
That is probably the most up to date for a ton of episodes.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you like our show, there's all kinds of shows that are similar or maybe different that you could watch or listen to. I mean,
Yep. There's no shows quite like our show. I mean, I feel like pop culture or whatever, movie talk, comic book shows, like dime a dozen. Except how many could just get derailed for half the episode or more on either Doctor Who or just things we don't even remember what we were talking about.
right?
But it still works. Hey, Jesse, you got anything exciting coming up, going on?
I feel like I had a better answer for this before we started the show, but I no longer have that good answer. So, no.
I feel like we had a better show before we started the show.
That might be. Nothing that I can really think of. The main thing that I really wanted to mention was the Humble Bundle. We covered that. So yeah, I guess since we already talked about electronic media, and since Paul is the only person in our chat, Paul just posted a episode, I believe, where he's talking to the author of the Roger Rabbit books, and had another good conversation with them. You should check out Paul's podcast because he even talked to Clint Howard recently.
Right, he did.
Buried the lead on that. That had to be a great conversation that I need to check out. So
Yeah.
check out Paul's podcasts over on electronicmediacollective.com. Look for the moose.
Mm-hmm.
Look for the moose. Yeah, I might have to update. His recent episode will be up there momentarily, I think. But I did notice the Clint Howard one. I was excited about that. Whoa, Clint Howard.
Wait, is Clint Howard that one guy that's in a whole bunch of horror movies?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think I know who he is, yeah.
Yeah, he's like he's horror movie royalty. I mean, it's B-grade horror movie, but that's the best kind of horror movies.
Yeah. But there's so many,
Little known fact, he's brother of Ron Howard. It's so interesting, like looking at, thinking about Ron Howard and like his filmography and stuff, and then Clint Howard. But you know what? I enjoy way more movies that Clint Howard's in than movies directed by Ron Howard.
Yeah, right.
Forget your Apollo 13s. Clint Howard's got Ticks.
yeah.
I don't know why Ticks is like the go-to for
Isn't
me.
Clint Howard in Apollo 13 too? Maybe he's not.
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
he is, actually. That's a good point. It's a good point.
So anything that Ron can do, Clint can probably piggyback.
You about to kill me with that. Oh man. Anyway,
Man, we went back to our old, almost 2 hours days here.
oh I know.
Yeah.
It's been
I
a
know.
minute since we gone 2.
Oh, I just posted. Who's this? Gary K. Wolf on the Bull Spit with Moose show is now up on the Electronic Media.
All
Collective
right,
podcast
hey,
network.
see, getting work done while we're on the stream. See,
I
that's
never
what
stop.
That's what we promise here: speed pimpage and up to the minute updates.
The Movie Guys podcast has talked about Dirty Dancing.
Wow, timely.
Retrek is talking about Star Trek.
Oh yeah, and see, I mentioned that way at the top of the 2-hour mark.
Strange New
So-
Worlds specifically. All Those Who Wonder is the episode.
All right.
And there's wrestling.
Oh yeah, there's a new episode today. See, I'm not even up to date on it.
Anyhow,
Any hay.
Yep.
Yeah. And
what
you
all-
know what the negative horse would say? Nay.
Nay.
all right, that's been our show, everybody. Have a good weekend.